Hi, today for my presentation I'm going to talk about women in the Mexican Revolution. Here is a picture of some of the many women who participated in the revolution. Before we keep going, how is this topic relevant to the class? Well, we first learned about the Mexican Revolution and how it affected and shaped Mexico. In the book Born in Blood and Fire by John Charles Chastain, and even though they didn't talk specifically about women in the Mexican Revolution, they did talk about the women in the Cuban Revolution. But I feel that everybody should learn how the women in the Mexican Revolution helped Mexico towards its freedom while leaving behind their femininity, their homes, their children, and life to see their country free. The Mexican Revolution happened between 1910 and 1920, and it started with wanting to take out Porfirio Diaz, who was a dictator in Mexico for 30 years, and he was also getting old. The liberals wanted to begin challenging what Porfirio Diaz wanted them to do. That they decided that it was time to rebel against him and his dictatorship. In the end, the revolutionaries won, and Mexico got to establish their own constitutional republic. Some of the revolutionaries that I'm going to talk, but not in depth in my presentation, are Pancho Villa, Francisco Madero, Emiliano Zapata, and Pascual Orozco. Keywords that you should remember while we go through the presentation are soldaderas, who were women who were soldiers, Reileras, women waiting for their husbands at the edge of the train tracks, Valentinas, which were also known as Adelitas, women in the military who participated in the conflict of the Mexican Revolution. Well, what do women have to do with the Mexican Revolution? Um, Women were a big important part of it. And even though a lot of historians don't talk about it or write it in books or in depth, women were very important. They would join the revolution as soldiers, acted as spies, would send clandestine letters, distribute guns, were companions for the soldiers, mothers, professionals, and many other things. The soldaderas and adelitas. Well, they were women who are a symbol of femininity, pride, patriotism, feminism, and culture in Mexico. Um, the women who end up being in the war were often lower class women who didn't have an option to fight for their rights, which the middle and the upper class women had a choice, like always. The Adelita is the modern version image of a soldadera, the more feminine, highly sexualized Mexican woman who will wear bandoliers across her chest and a gun attached to her back. How were the soldaderas treated? Well, many of the women had to prove themselves. In order to gain higher ranks, others would just stay in the camps, which they weren't allowed to bear arms or engage in combat unless they were under attack. Mostly would just like cook, clean, do laundry, anything, to be honest. Many of the women were often low-income women, which were never recognized and had no opportunity to advance, such as becoming colonels or generals. Um, they had to have their own horses. If not, they couldn't go to fight because no general will let their men give the horse to the woman for her to go to fight. They had to have a horse because the fight mostly was with horses. Or you had to be in a horse because, like, the fighting, it was bad. As the years passed, and they were sexualized, romanticized, because it started with a song called La Delita that was written at that time at the Mexican Revolution by an unknown person who was inspired by a young female who participated in the revolution. They used the Adelita to look like a busty woman with European features who would show a Mexican flag and a gun, as you can see on the upper picture in color. And But in reality, the soldaderas were traditional Mexican, as you can see the other picture, dresses or men's clothing, and were mestiza women, not like the first picture, the top picture. Some important women of the Mexican Revolution were Juana Belén Gutierrez de Mendoza, who was born in Durango, was constantly imprisoned during the Porfirio Diaz dictatorship. Excuse me. And because she would write feminist literature, and she believed that democracy was better for Mexico, and she fought for people to vote and overthrow the military oligarchy. Maria de la Luz Espinosa Barrera, she was appointed lieutenant colonel by General Emiliano Zapata for showing bravery and courage and being an excellent horsewoman. The best, the best. Luz Corral was the one of many wives of Pancho Villa. She was the only and the first only known to contribute to his political career. Margarita Neri, she was Mexico's first indigenous Mayan woman to join the revolution. Before that, she owned an hacienda. And after the revolution, she created her own army. Well, while the revolution, she created her own army of really 1,000 men in just 2 months. She knew how to shoot, ride horses, and direct her troops. María Quinteras de Meras, she was a great soldadera who participated in 10 battles. She was appointed colonel in the Villa Army for her merits. Was very and highly respected by Pancho Villa. She would dress as a revolutionary man, which sometimes made her look like she had supernatural powers because her skill with the firearms were exceptional. One that I think that everybody should know is Petra Herrera. She was known also as Pedro Herrera. She called herself the Generala. She formed her own army who was made up of women, only women, fought by the side of Madero forces. She would wear men's clothing to able to participate in the revolution, but later she started to wear and dress like a woman. She was very outstanding in everything she did, but the thing was Pancho Villa did not give her credit because she was a woman. Petra Herrera, she became independent and formed her own group of 1,000 soldaderas. She became a colonel, but her title of general was denied to her, which a lot of people don't know that she is what Pancho Villa is. And that's the sad thing about all of this. I wanted to end my presentation with this quote that I found very, very inspiring, but also what it's supposed to be for the soladeras. It says, some Mexican women have begun to take pride in La Delita because she represents a stronger fighter working for equality. If she chooses, she can appear overly sexual, but she no longer is forced into that role. She stands for independence from any oppressive force. She is less associated with the image of the woman in revealing blouse than she is aligned with her own image of remarkable woman, much like who the soladeras really were. Delia Fernandez. Thank you, everybody, for seeing my presentation. I hope you liked it.